were busy with the multilateral diplomacy here at the United Nations. From tomorrow, you will be entering to the bilateral diplomacy in Washington. So give us a sum up what you have achieved here and what are your targets in the bilateral, bilateral relationship, Pak-American relationship, and Shashi Tharoor with Indian delegation is also there. Is there any chance of coming across, any chance of dialogue, or any chance of confrontation?
John, as far as our the multilateral component is concerned, I think that our trip to to New York has been and to the UN has been very successful. We've engaged with the OIC, we've engaged with the E10, we've engaged, as I said, the UN Secretary General, the President of the Security Council, various permanent representatives of member states, and everybody has been very, very receptive to Pakistan's position on the Indus Water Treaty, to Pakistan's commitment to dialogue and diplomacy in pursuit of peace. Everybody has been very appreciative for Pakistan's transparency, particularly with our offer, or our Prime Minister's offer, for an investigation into this attack during the conflict. So in that context, I think it's been a very fruitful and beneficial use of our time here in New York. As we go on to DC and to other countries, we have our own brief, and our India counterparts will have their own brief. Ours is a mission of peace, a mission of advocacy for dialogue and diplomacy. I'm not quite sure what the other side is doing. They go around and they show a picture of a man with a beard leading funeral prayers. And this delegation goes around violently sort of shoves this picture in everybody's face. And they say, look, this guy is a terrorist. And the fact of the matter is, this man is not a terrorist. Pakistan happens to have a name similar to one of the sanctioned people, but he's not. So during the conflict, India relied on disinformation. Post-conflict, India is still relying on disinformation. This idea that you can paint all Muslims with the same brush, that you can just use the word terrorism, and your own country will be convinced, the international community will be convinced. Maybe that worked in 2001, in 2003, but it doesn't work so well in our context in 2025. I call upon the Indian government to be honest with themselves, to be honest with their people. The fact of the matter is the people of Pakistan and the people of India are less safe today than they were yesterday. And it's my responsibility to keep my people safe. It's their responsibility to keep their people safe. We have not discussed terrorism. When is the last time that Pakistan and India had a conversation about terrorism? We have no intelligence sharing over terrorism. We have no coordination over terrorism. So how are we meant to combat terrorism? It's almost a self-defeating purpose. That you continue to insist you're so passionate about terrorism, but then refuse to work with countries to combat that very menace. Similarly, how is it within the interest of India, within their security interests, within their economic interests, to allow this precedent to be part of their official state policy? Forget about the fact, no, don't forget about the fact, but let's keep to one side that it's a violation of international law, a violation of UN Security Council resolutions. What's the logic? That without any proof, without any evidence, anywhere, if there's a bomb attack in India by anyone, it means you'll send your planes into the air. Then you'll shoot missiles over, nuclear-capable missiles over into your neighboring country. Does that bode well for investment in India? Does that mean that their people's lives are more secure? Does it deter terrorists, or does it encourage terrorism? Terrorists want to create confusion. They want to spread fear. The fact that their actions can result in a much broader conflict between two nuclear powers don't serve our interests, don't serve India's interests, but it certainly serves their interests. So there's need for deep introspection within India's society, between the Indian government. Their strategy has not been working. They must recognize that not all Pakistanis are terrorists, no matter what their government says to them. And they'll find it far more efficient, far more effective to work with the government of Pakistan, work with the relative institutions with Pakistan, to combat the joint threat of terrorism.
Mr. Ahmed, followed by thank you very much, Ahmed Fathi, ATN News.
Which news, sorry?
Ahmed Fathi, ATN News.
ATN News, thank you.
Let me start with a statement you made today, saying that the recent terrorist attack in Kashmir is being used as a political tool to demonize Muslims in India. Sir, I have watched the briefings on both sides, and as far as I recall, there were Muslim Indian military officers who were conducting the briefing on the Indian side.
Well, as far as the operation is concerned, you're absolutely right.
Okay. The other thing, my main question is a follow-up on my colleague Batul about tariffs and trade war.
Can I just answer your demonizing question?
Okay,
first?
sure.
Terrorism in general is used by India to demonize Muslims within their territory. I'm not specifically limiting it to this attack, but the Indian political environment is such that the word terrorist is used as a wolf whistle to either whip up sentiment against Muslim minorities within the Indian mainland, to demonize, to paint all Kashmiris within Kashmir who are opposed to the policies of the Indian government not as legitimate voices of opposition, not as a form of resistance, but they demonize everyone as terrorists. Surely those who attack civilians are terrorists. But those people who raise their voice for the right to self-determination of their people are not terrorists. The Indian government has not only demonized Muslims within their own country and minorities within their own country. Pakistan has complaints about India financing and supporting terrorist activity within our country, but also Pakistan is not alone in having these complaints against India. For example, India has been targeting Sikh activists across the world. They've done so within Pakistan, where the Indian government has funded defunct terrorist organizations within Pakistan to conduct assassination of Sikh activists within Pakistan. The Indian government has engaged in similar criminal activity in Canada, where they've targeted Sikh activists in Canada. The Indian government has engaged in similar criminal activity here in the United States. The policy of the RSS or the BJP government to the Muslim minority within India is not something new. It's a known fact. What they do within their own country is up to their own system. When they start implying that all Pakistanis are terrorists, as a result of the fact as a result of the actions of a few terrorists, I believe that's demonizing an entire population.
Thank you. Let me move to the trade and bilateral with the U.S. since you're going and your delegation are heading to Washington, D.C. and I'm assuming you're going to have meetings in Congress and House and Senate, as well as the think tanks. How should Pakistan position itself in the current milieu of evolving competition between China and the West, led by the US in the current environment, especially given that you have the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project, which have economic significance and rising as well global scrutiny of strategic infrastructure investments. What's your message going to be to Congress to rebuttal this accusation of being that you are warming up more to China?
We have economic relationships with both the United States and China. I kind of find it absurd for anyone to argue that one is not to have, economic relations with any one country. For example, the United States has heavy competition with China, right? But they do a lot of trade with China. So Pakistan...
with tariffs.
Well, there's a tariff back and forth so far, but they do a lot of trade with each other, do they not? And surely it serves the interests of both countries that Pakistan, while obviously it will continue to do trade with its neighbor, that it also continues to do trade with the United States. What I do appreciate about the US government at the moment is that they are talking about a more comprehensive dialogue with Pakistan about the scope of our trade. We're confident in our relationship with our neighbors, and we're optimistic about the trajectory of our relationship with the United States.